Welcome to Fandom Shmandom, the fandom podcast that covers everything you love and more. I'm Sierra Obermark.
And I am Sam Williams. Today's episode, we will be sputteringly speaking about Star Wars Maul, Shadow Lord. Spoiler warning, we will be discussing the first 4 episodes of Maul, Shadow Lord, as we just said, and other Maul-related content we have discussed on Fandom Shmandom thus far. This includes Phantom Menace, other comic material, Clone Wars, possibly some Rebels as well. Without further ado, we will, as Roger Smith says, dive on in.
Swallow that pill. It's our Matrix category for initial impressions of this brand new show. So, our biggest impressions so far, I love it.
Yeah, I'm sold. Pretty
Sold.
Instantly. Like, no
Please
notes.
give me 10 more seasons.
As many seasons as we can get without killing creativity. This is a very fun show. This is a really good opportunity to dive into the underworld, which is not, where Hades lives, but in this case is the crime syndicate area. The other kind of underworld. The one where it's the seedy underbelly of the Galactic Empire. We've got crime syndicates, we've got Maul, we've got lightsabers through the face of pikes. It's just been incredible so far. I have loved, not every moment. It's the first episode is very like, and here's a flash of who this is, and here's a flash of who this is, and here, orient yourself here, and the episode's done. And you're like, okay, I need another episode, please. And then the show, I think, really hits. And by the time we get to Big Star Destroyer over the top of the planet, I'm like, all right, give me, like you said, 10 more seasons.
So I was speaking with one of my former coworkers the other day, and he was saying that, he was watching all the episodes and a little bit concerned about where the show was going and kind of what was happening in the show. And I think it all came down to a timing issue because we have these short episodes. And so when you get one, you're like, wait, but hold on. I need more. I need more context. I need more of what's going on. And while I was able to kind of put that aside during this, I also thought, it would be really great if we just had 10-hour-long episodes. He thought it just needed to be a full-length film. And I was like, no. We need a full 10-episode-long, hour-long episodes because I can watch this all day.
Yeah.
I finished watching and I wanted to immediately watch again.
I did. I've watched all the episodes twice now already because
Fantastic.
I just could not get enough of it. Here's the thing. I think one of the initial big impressions that I had is that this clearly is still coded for kids. It's a little bit darker. I feel like we're moving towards the 12 rather than the 10 in terms of age range, especially with the literal lightsaber to the Pike's face. Now, they don't actually show him zerping his lightsaber through a Pike's head, but we do get this shot of the lightsaber. You are basically the POV of the lightsaber as it approaches the guy's Pike mask. So definitely a little bit more violent than some of the Clone Wars stuff, but certainly I think still coded for kids in the timing. 20 minutes quickly with a bunch of violent action in it. I think we're definitely moving at like hey, we want kids to be interested in this. And therefore, in this TikTok age, we're constantly needing to feed you little dopamine effects of violence. Keep your finger on the pause button and rewind that tape. It's the prestige category. What did we notice on this watch through?
The art style.
The back painting especially.
My goodness. Exactly. The back painting, gorgeous. I watch it again just to watch that because every single time that I did shift focus and look, or at the beginning of scenes where they have the swooping shots where it's really coming into the location that we're in, gorgeous.
Yeah.
It looks like a painting. Beautifully done. Beautiful. And almost everything has this kind of painting effect to it,
Yeah.
which I really enjoy. I almost didn't realize for some of it that it's even the faces of all of the characters. It took me a little bit to realize just how comprehensive the painting technique is throughout all the art style, but I really, really enjoy it. Also, lighting. The lighting that they provide to these scenes is amazing. One specific one that really stuck with me is when Lawson goes to speak with some minor character. I can't quite remember.
It's fine. It's all new. It's so new. The fact that you knew Lawson is great. Lawson, for those of you who are listening, is the main like cop character.
Yes. Yes. So when he goes to speak with someone who's telling him a little bit more about the Shadow Collective, they're in this pink lit room. And at that moment, I just go, this is more well lit in an animated show than 90% of TV right now.
Yeah, for real.
Just TV and movies aren't doing this, and they should, because it is beautiful.
Okay.
And you have the dimension of the light and the dark, and everybody, though you can see everything that's going on, which is a lot of people's complaints nowadays with watching things, is that everything's so dark. And so the fact that the lighting is just amazing without losing the gritty, dark quality.
Yes. Okay. All right. So a quick tangent. I do feel like we're in the midst of one of the weirdest bouts of technology in movie and TV history, because it's like, why don't we understand anything ever? Why does everybody need subtitles now? And it's like they've done away with boom mics and they're just using like under the clothes mics, which is like not as good. And also just in general, I feel like they're deprioritizing lighting and really moving on to this darkness. I feel like the peak darkness was Game of Thrones, right? On that battle in Winterfell, where everyone was like, turn up the brightness on the TV. We all were collectively 87 suddenly. But I really like the fact that they have prioritized so much of the beauty of the show, like they do in season 7 of Clone Wars, where it's like, oh man, did you guys hit the animation even harder than you have been in Clone Wars? And I feel like that is really present right here. Something that I'm really, really obsessed with is their blaster flares. They take the time in a dark space, when the blaster shoots, it's not just like, oh, it's firing, but like it like more than J.J. Abrams does in his actual full-length movies. It's not just a lens flare. It's like the entire scene actually glows in the way that it would in real life. And they do it in a way that doesn't like shock your eyeballs, like in Doom 2 when you move to the white and black planet and suddenly you're like, oh my God, what's happening? Like, it's done in a way that's pleasing to the eye, which I think is really effective about the show. I think everything about the visuals is just great. And I love when Filoni-backed projects do this, and any other project that does this in Star Wars as well. But when they kind of nerd out within the Star Wars fandom, we have all of these gorgeous matte paintings of the backgrounds in the original trilogy. And these have that sort of feeling to them, which is just so cool and so great. It's like when they shot Rogue One on actual film, it feels sort of that nature. And I love that. I do have an alert for you, Sierra, from the bottom of my heart. New droid alert. First of all, exactly. First of all, love me a new droid. Love me evil droids. BB9 from Last Jedi. I was like, look at him.
You see this one? This one is my favorite.
This one's my favorite. And also when BB-8 is being the mouse droid in like pretending to be the mouse droid in Last Jedi, also great. This guy's little name is Spybot, and he is my big love. He wears basically a huge Western hat and has crazy eyeballs and is just like evil time all the time. And I just love him for it.
It's so great. Just everything about him feels maniacal.
Yeah. Does he not feel like a villain from Robots? Like the Ewan McGregor, Robin Williams animated movie? It's like somebody was like, hey, you see that robot in the background of this Robin Williams movie? Let's just pluck him and put him in Star Wars. Great. Is he good or evil?
Fantastic.
Look at him. He's evil. Also, he has a voice actor. There's a guy who plays him. His name is David W. Collins, and he's constantly going. I just love it.
It's fantastic. I also just really enjoy it because the giant Western hat just screams Cad Bane to me.
Yeah, absolutely.
So no longer can Ahsoka just say, well, who else would wear that hat?
Spybot!
Turns out there's another. There is another.
No, there is one other. Skywalker? No. Of big hat wearers. Oh, it's Cad Bane and who else? Spybot. Who the heck is Spybot?
So fantastic.
Flash forward to me in my 60s running like trivia and just having it be the stupidest Star Wars trivia. Back on the Fandom Shmandom pod, Sierra once called this character Cad Bane's droid counterpart because of the hat he wears. Everyone's like, when are you going to ask us about Napoleon?
When are you going to ask a question any reasonable person could answer? Speaking of reasonable people,
yeah,
Maul is one bad mamma jamma.
Isn't he just?
If you've been listening to this podcast, I love Maul.
I do too.
I love him. He's great. He is fantastic.
He's wonderful.
And anything that he is in, episode, scene, whatever, makes it better. This is zero exception. From the moment that he is revealed, I let out an audible, hell yeah.
Hell yeah, you said.
Hell yeah. Because I am so excited about where the show is going. It was an iconic walk on.
Yeah.
And I think that from that moment, you're really, obviously the show is about him, but we're really diving into what is he up to and what is his internal monologue. I feel like so much of what we see from him is very much getting to know what is happening inside of his head, which is awesome. There's an interview with Sam Witwer where he is explaining where Maul went wrong with Ahsoka in Clone Wars.
Yes.
And his pitch to her.
I was going to bring this up. I love this.
Yes. In the interview, he's explaining with Ahsoka, he was so close. Maul was so close to actually having him pull her over to his side and his way of thinking. Because his pitch is not wrong. Like his pitch, he makes a lot of great points. But his fatal flaw is that he went, oh, by the way, now you got to go kill your best friend.
Yeah. Yeah.
Without realizing that maybe that would not be so great.
Well, he makes a mistake, doesn't he? He thinks,
yes,
you've been thrown out by the Jedi. You must hate your master like I hated mine when I was thrown out by the Sith. And it turns out not the case.
No, she doesn't agree with the Jedi, but she definitely doesn't hate her master because her master isn't the one who made her
put her on
leave.
Trial, didn't trust her, threw her out, decided she was the bad guy. Nah. That was Yoda and company.
Yes. I watched the interview before watching episode 4. And in episode 4, I noticed that he makes a couple of pitches to various characters, specifically Lawson and Devin. Devin being the young Padawan, who we'll get to both of them more in a little bit. But he makes these specific pitches, and they don't go over completely. However, he doesn't make any mistakes. It's more just they're still very attached to their own ideology and are not ready to leave it behind. But he was very careful with his words throughout those pitches and really connecting with who he has figured out that they are, which I think is one of Maul's greatest assets, is he is excellent at reading people.
So, first of all, spoilers for Rebels, so skip like the next 30 seconds if you haven't watched that show. But when we get to Maul being in Rebels, he is a master convincer. He just his pitches hit like crazy with the main character, Ezra. And Ahsoka has to be the one to be like, hey, this guy be dangerous. Don't listen to him. But even then, he's still seductive in his allure to what he thinks is going on. And I find that, especially with Devon earlier on, when she's in prison and he's like, "Oh, you're injured. Please let me see it. Oh, is that not what you would think I would do? Right? It's outside of your thought of who I would be to even care about if you're injured or not." And it's just like, all right, bud, like, whoa now. Calm down. So I think that was really cool to see that progression and to see that interview beforehand going, oh, I see where the process is. Where he's learned very quickly, but now he's being really careful. And so like when he pitches to Lawson and he's pitching to this lawman, to this police officer, if you let me work, we will have peace. He's specifically trying to say we won't have the Galactic Empire here and there will be peace in your world. Isn't that what you want? And he doesn't push any further, which is a really good sales technique. So my dad being a salesman, my grandfather being a salesman, both of them will tell you, you pitch the product early and then you wait to see what a response is first. Because if you over pitch, you might accidentally run yourself out of a yes and into a no. And so he's already learning here the manipulation. What I also love about the show is I agree to an extent that we're getting to see what's going on in his head. But I also think the big lure of Maul is what we see in Phantom Menace. We don't know at all what's going on in his head. And so right here, we're seeing the mechanizations of his plan as it is unfolding. But there's still a level of secrecy behind what he's actually doing and where he's actually trying to go. I think the one overt line we get, and I think it's because of its kids show and they want to show where we're going with Devon's character, is when Maul is like, I'm going to turn Devon into a weapon that we can kill Sidious with. And Crass is like, his Mandalorian sidekick is like, oh yes, Sidious, let's kill that one. That's not Crass's voice at all, but that's how I feel about that character right now. But you see what I'm saying? Like, there's still this level of secrecy and depth that we're totally cut off from. Like, he's accessible, but then not at all at the same time. And I love that dichotomy in that character.
Yes. I love how you see what he wants you to see.
Yes.
And you get to see a little bit more of the behind the scenes of what is going on with him and his planning and whatnot. But you don't and you kind of know his end game. Obviously, his end game is get power, get rid of Sidious. Sure.
Get power, kill Sidious, maybe eventually Kenobi.
Right. I mean, but there's like a whole middle ground of, well, how's he going to get there? What is his plot? You don't actually know what the plan is, but you know he has one. You know that he has one, and he is very carefully putting the puzzle pieces together, and he's got backup plan after backup plan just in case.
This shows up very specifically with Vario's side story, where Vario is this little guy that worked for one of the crime syndicates that he's captured and is using in order to get to the Pike so he can kill the main Pike leader who betrayed him. We see Vario at the beginning of the episode where Maul finally gets to the Pikes in the ship holding onto a blaster, being nervous about it. And then suddenly it looks like Vario has stunned Maul in order to hand him over to the Pikes. And I think kids might be looking at that hook and sinker. But what's fun for adults is there's this whole like, wait a second, that's too easy. This is going to be a double cross, isn't it? So you can see the plan unfolding just a step ahead of time, but you still don't know exactly, all right, what's he going to do with all of that? And then he just kills the main leader and makes the leader of the guard now in charge of the Pike Syndicate, but reporting to him. And so suddenly Maul's grabbed all this power very quickly on a plan that you only see one step before it happens rather than multiple steps. And I think that's really neat.
Yeah, it's very fascinating. And I think his use of Vario in general is very interesting.
Yeah.
Because at first he's coming in and he's going, well, you betrayed me. So I have to kill you.
Right.
Yeah. You betrayed me. He betrayed me. He betrayed me. I got to kill all three of you. I've got one down. Thank you. You did that for me. But now it's your turn. And so, he knows that Vario's going to flip.
Yeah.
And give him the person that he's really after.
Yeah.
Because he knows he can get to Vario anytime.
Yeah.
But the leader of the Pikes, not
Harder.
so much.
Harder.
So very, very interesting. Again, like another one that you're seeing unfold maybe on time or a step ahead of exactly what's being shown. And it's amazing.
I also really like his number 2, Rook Cast, who's a character from the Clone Wars, one of the Mandalorians that is very loyal to him during his Mandalorian ruling days. And she has super cool Mandalorian armor. I love her design so much. She hasn't done much as a character, but she is a really cool number 2 in being an enforcer. And I think this is a really awesome. You don't often see women in the role of like, I'm an enforcer, right? You see like Dave Bautista character or like The Rock early in his career, or they're just like big dudes who are like, I've got muscle and I can shoot and I can do all this stuff and I'll be your enforcer. And now we've got Rook Cast, who I think is doing a very good job. Similarly to, I don't remember her name right now, but in Book of Boba, which, you know, is not a great show, but Boba's number 2 is also this awesome bounty hunter woman who's great as a shot. And I just really like that Star Wars is leaning into this right now. I think Rook is an awesome number 2.
The only other person that I can think of who is like the female enforcer in a popular thing would be John Wick 2.
Oh,
Ruby Rose plays the deaf enforcer for I can't remember his name, but the main villain of
John Wick 2.
Yes.
There's elements of Captain Marvel being a bit of an enforcer in the MCU, but not as much as I would like. So this I'm happy with. Also, Rook Cast, played by Vanessa Marshall, who voices Hera on Rebels. She's the main Green Twi'lek pilot of that show, now played by Mary Elizabeth Winstead on the live action show, who happens to be Ewan McGregor's wife. So little Star Wars connections all around. Other
characters that we are getting a lot of would be Lawson, who is a lawful man, and 2 boots. I said 2 shoes in the doc, and I was wrong. It's 2 boots.
2 shoes. 2 shoes. He's got. Wait a second. It's boots.
It's boots, but it still gives me this gangster vibe.
Yeah,
like 2 shoes McCleary, 2 boots.
Old baseball names or Albanian gangsters. Right. Here we go.
Exactly.
I don't know why I said Albanian. Sorry to my Albanians friends. Okay, so first of all, I gotta say, Richard Ayoade, who's this British comedian that I absolutely love, plays 2 boots, and he's just so phenomenal. Good. And as soon as I heard it, I went, oh, that's Richard Ayoade. How has he never played a droid in Star Wars before? He's perfect. So I really have been enjoying that. But also, tell me if I'm wrong, Sierra, because we just have so much Stranger Things on the brain from that being our first season. Does Lawson not remind you a little bit of Jim Hopper?
A little.
Like, not in terms of like the way he acts, but the archetype of which he's in. Previously divorced, single dad, doesn't want the stadies in and around his town, wants to take care of everything himself, doesn't play by the rules. Very classic cop. A little bit?
A little bit.
All right.
Yeah. I'll give you that, but I think it's hard not to kind of put this trope of a not so law-abiding lawman
without it feeling like any of those characters that are out there. That's a fair point. I will give you that as well. Okay.
And I think that what's really interesting is that not only are the characters themselves very interesting, and I want to know more about their backstory, because we're getting just these little tidbits. Like with Lawson, he has this son. His son plays a sport and is very good at it. And
he feels rejected by his dad.
He's also kind of an absentee father because he's always working, which is a typical situation that we find. And he has an ex-wife who works for the Empire.
Oh my God.
And so I just love that we find that out specifically when he's like, no, we're not going to call the Empire in on this. And they're like, why? Because your wife works there.
Does this have to do anything with the fact that your ex-wife works for the Empire? Although they didn't say ex-wife, they said former wife. And that made me go on a word search dive to see if in Star Wars they have ever used the word ex to describe like ex-girlfriend or ex-partner or ex-wife. And I cannot, from my very cursory research, find anything. So that's just be one of those things where it's like, hey, by the way, there are no zippers.
Right.
But I really like Lawson in particular. He's a good friend of the... Sorry, did I kill you?
Yes, because that took me to Carrie Fisher's There's No Underwear in
You
Space.
told me there's no underwear in space.
Yes. And how when she died, she would have been strangled by her own bra.
Yeah, bro. I do love that. My God. Okay. I do really like these two characters. I like Lawson in particular. He's a friend of the Jedi first and foremost, which is great because he sees Devin and Master Daki and is like, "Why didn't you tell me you were Jedi?" And they're like, "I think that's obvious," but he's like, "Get out of here." And he lets them go, which is cool. He's evidently very concerned about the Empire, which makes every Star Wars fan, unless you were an absolute abhorrent person, go, "Oh, good. I like this dude." But also he's just very matter of fact. And that's really nice in a show where Sam Witwer is making everything chaotic evil all the time, even in just his voice acting. So this chaotic presence of death and dismemberment and manipulation, and then you get such a straight and narrow guy who's going against rules, don't get me wrong, but he's so holding so fast to his principles, which even Maul is like, how honorable to him. I think it makes for a really fun juxtaposition, especially when you've got the two Jedi sort of dealing with like, what are we doing? Are we going to do the right thing? Are we not going to do the right thing? And then you got Maul, who's like, we're doing the wrong thing all the time. And then we got this one guy who's being like, we're doing the right thing constantly.
And I think that it's also interesting, the dynamic between Lawson and Two Boots, because where Lawson is very focused on what is good for the people, Two Boots, as a droid who has probably been programmed to be this way, is lawful to the extreme. Like, this is the rules, and he will follow the rules.
He is neutral lawful.
Exactly. And so the rule is he needs to report this to the Empire, and he will be reporting it to the Empire. And so Lawson having to actually turn him off, deactivate him in order to stop that from happening is this really interesting tension to throw into their relationship so early on in the show.
Yeah.
Because we've seen that they work very well together and they're basically buddies. I mean, they're partners. So for them to have that tension already is very interesting. And it does make me wonder if Two Boots is going to be a droid who learns another way, or if he is going to be completely stuck to what this law is and enforcing it. Because that moment where he goes, "I'm so sorry for deactivating you," and he goes, I hope you can forgive me. And then Two Boots goes, "I do, and I hope you can forgive me too." And then cue the Empire, is a very interesting place to leave off. Okay.
Here. I am really fascinated by Two Boots because and Garrett and I specifically, our expert Garrett Fielding, sort of lament droids pretty routinely. Like the fact that they ever program droids to feel fear or to scream, I'm always like, why are we programming them like this? Like that seems cruel. Or the fact that the Trade Federation was like, hey, our spaceships, they should say uh-oh when they're in space. Just stupid silliness. I'm really fascinated by this question that permeates throughout science fiction. Star Trek really handles this question. Star Wars at times has handled this question. Lots of science fiction does, which is like, with artificial intelligence, actual artificial intelligence, not the large language models that are like ChatGPT, but actual, this thing is intelligent artificially. It is not organic. It is made by us making rocks talk to each other. So will he be able to break out of his coding? And I think that is fascinating. So R2 famously never gets his mind wipe, and you do routine mind wipe on droids to keep them to their coding, which Star Wars has created this sort of moral and ethical dilemma around, like, is this alive? Should you allow a personality to exist, or is it kinder to just keep wiping and keep it within its function? I'm so excited, Sierra, for when you get to play Star Wars Outlaws, because there's an assassin droid that's one of your main characters, and they do talk about the ethics of droids being sent to their death constantly in the Clone Wars. So I am very fascinated to see if this will at all cover my coding says to do this, therefore I'm going to do this, or I have a personal relationship with Lawson, Two Boots says to himself, and so therefore I'm going to break protocol, I'm going to break my own coding, etc. I will also say this parallels an actual robotics conversation going on in the real world right now. There's a great video of, robots being asked, hey, will you shoot me? And the robot being like, no, I have safety protocols. We can't even talk about this theoretically. Okay, will you role play as a robot that's willing to shoot me? Sure. And then they get shot with like a little ping pong ball or something, So right. I'm really excited to see where this show goes with this. I think it has some really cool potential to have light commentary, still a kid show. So light commentary on like robotics and artificial intelligence and all of that stuff. And I'm like really cued in on Two Boots for that reason.
Also, just Lawson and Two Boots give me a Qui-Gon Obi-Wan vibe.
Spell that one out for me.
Because Qui-Gon is like, yes, this is what we should be doing. However.
Yeah, totally. I'm right there with you then.
Obi-Wan would definitely be the one to call the Empire in if the Empire wasn't the Empire. Like, it's time to report this to the Council. Like, he is that kind of a guy. Whereas Two Boots is like, well, if you were supposed to report it to the Empire. In Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan, Qui-Gon be like, no, it's okay. The Jedi don't have to know yet. All good. We got this. Which is kind of what Lawson is doing. And then Obi-Wan would be the one going, let's just send a little transmission over here.
I do feel like definitely
that's how Maul found them.
Sierra's referring to when we were talking about in Phantom Menace how they said don't send any transmission. If you send a transmission back to Coruscant, then they'll be able to track where they go, and so they don't send a transmission, and then Maul shows up anyways. So we're always speculating about like,
how did this happen?
Who sent the transmission? How did he get there? Does he have a good sense of smell? Like, what's going on? I do feel like, during the one vacation Obi-Wan takes when he's watching Luke for 20 years on Tatooine, the one weekend that he goes to Space Vegas, he shows up and he'll be like, should I report that crime to the authorities? Maybe. And he's like halfway through filling out before he's like, wait a second, the authorities are the Empire. Other characters, speaking of the Jedi, like Obi-Wan, we have Devin. And I'm really enjoying Devin because I'm really enjoying where Devin's character is going to go. She's very sort of archetypical right now. She's this tortured youngster who's growing up in a world that's left her behind, and still trying to hold on to her ideals, but also working with the reality of like her and her master are poor. She's hungry. She's tired of life. But what really draws me to her is the potential that Maul sees in her. And him being like, this is my project. And you can see he is the one that convinces her to break herself out of prison. He's the one constantly being like, if you believe you're stuck here, then I guess you are. I find that very disturbing. Like, it's just this wonderful little, hey, watch this manipulation go. It's excellent. It's a little like when Harry watches Tom Riddle in Horcrux's memory, in Slughorn's memory of the Horcruxes. Where Harry sits there and he's like, man, I have tried to weasel a lot of information out of somebody else. I could definitely spot a master at it. And he's like watching Tom with some like little bit of pride. Like, wow, hey, you're
a little impressed.
Yeah, I'm a little impressed. And that's how I feel about Maul. And so I'm really glad that Devin's here. I think that they brought in a cool character for this.
What I also love is that even though she's fighting him and she is really trying to stand for her principles and her master's principles and everything, and there's definitely a personal vendetta going on here, and we see kind of all of this undercurrent, she gets that gleam in her eye at the end of that conversation right before Maul leaves, where you can see she's tempted. And she very well, that could be the plot of this show, is she turns.
It's
and
called,
I would not be surprised at all.
Absolutely. I think that's where this is heading. I think she will be the apprentice. More surprised if she didn't.
Exactly.
Yeah. I think that the Empire is going to kill and or capture and or torture her master, or an Inquisitor is going to show up and kill her master, and then she's going to be like, well, the enemy of my enemy is Maul. I think what I'm calling this from now on, Maul's manipulation tactics, is just a clockwork Maul. Because you can see the gears ticking when he's pitching. You can see everything sort of shifting. So that's why it's a clockwork Maul. I cannot for the life of me, Sierra, remember her master's name. I have to keep looking every time. It's Master Iko Diodaki, which I feel like is a name easily made fun of, and I'm not going to do it here. But I just can't remember it. What I do remember is that this is Allstate actor Dennis Haysbert, who has a special cameo in Brooklyn Nine-Nine as a character named Bob. So I've just been calling him Master Bob because I cannot remember.
That's Master where Ducky. That came from.
So my gosh. If I keep calling him Master Bob or Bob, that's who I'm talking about. Because I can just hear Raymond Holt going, "Oh, Bob." But I also like this dynamic that they set up of this wise old Jedi with his Padawan trying to make their way through the world. And he's a very kind-hearted man. And she's also kind-hearted, but is living her life in the world. Devon's storyline in particular, with Master Daki, of course, but Devon's storyline reminds me a little bit of the Greek myth Orpheus and Eurydice, which is, for those of you who have seen Hades Town, that was kind of the more recent version of that myth coming in, where Eurydice is constantly complaining about winter is here, we need to make food. And Orpheus is like, I'm creating this wonderful song. I'm this creator. I'm lost in my own word. And Eurydice is like, all right, I gotta go down to hell because at least it's warm down there. And this is where I feel like the tension is with Master Daki and Devon, because Devon is kind of on her way out. We see this with the thieving moment. Now, then she gets a moment to be around Maul, realize how dangerous he is, and then want revenge / maybe also want to do the right thing as a Jedi and bring her way back to Maul. And then we get to see this awesome fight and everything. But I think Master Daki doesn't realize how close he is to losing Devon.
Yeah, I don't think he does at all. I think that he maybe believes that if she can just make it a little bit longer, she'll kind of get used to this new way of living.
Yeah.
And that it'll be okay. We'll just keep training. We'll just keep going. Not realizing that this is really taking a much bigger toll on her than it's taking on him.
Because his life has been taken away from him, but her future has been taken away from her. And I feel like that's a much bigger psychological impact than he realizes.
Yeah, agreed.
We talked a little bit about Vario already, but I like Vario a lot. I think he's a really funny little liaison where he's like, I'm totally under Maul's control. he feels a little like when Princess Peach is using Toad to reflect blaster fire in Super Smash Bros, where you're like, poor little guy. But there's all these crime syndicates, which is really fun to see Maul. I mean, it was cool when he did it in Clone Wars by taking over Mandalore and gathering all this power, and now we're seeing it again, and it's very satisfying. Also, man, is Disney going hard on the Pikes. Pikes are in Star Wars Outlaws, the Pikes are in The Mandalorian, the Pikes are everywhere.
Pikes are in the High Republic.
Are they?
Yes.
Because it's the main thing that in the High Republic is
in the YA books.
Oh,
in the
yes.
The YA
I was thinking
books,
of the main. What's the main thing? Riding the Storm, people.
Marcion Rowe and his group is called the
Scarlet Fever.
Nihil.
Okay,
no, technically it's the Nile.
No, it's not.
Nihil. I hate it so much. I get it because it's nihilistic, and so it's Nile. But Nihil was how I first heard it, and so it's going to be Nihil.
It will always be that.
Forever.
Vario, I also I don't know if anybody else feels this way, but I get a bit of an Oliver and Company vibe from it.
What a pull.
So Oliver and Company, if anybody doesn't remember, is like a late 80s Disney movie before they really hit their like Little Mermaid, Lion King, Aladdin, Mulan sort of golden age in the 90s and early late 80s. And it's Billy Joel playing a dog. And it's basically Oliver Twist retold in animal form. But for whatever reason, this guy feels like he fits right in with this cast of characters. And I cannot get it out of my brain. Every time I see him, I'm like, what do I worry? Just have Billy Joel singing in my head as a dog from New York.
That's a pretty interesting place to be.
It's
in your
my
head
brain
as
sucks.
a dog in New York.
No. It's all terrible. But in all seriousness, I do find Maul trying to run the syndicates is a just perfect place for him in the current context. He doesn't have a chance to actually rule any systems because Palpatine will become Faux-Patine once again. And so he just has the underground to go for. I got this on my second watch through, not my first watch through, but Spybot, before we learn anything about the Empire coming to Janix, the planet that we're on, Spybot like sort of attaches himself to a long pole of some sort or some skyscraper-y thing. And he says, oh no, like, what's that noise? And you can literally hear like the voice actor saying essentially what's that noise in sort of scrambled droid speak, but it's also in English somehow. And you hear in the back of that noise, da-da-da-da-da, 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 which is the noise of a probe droid that we first hear in Hoth. And I just thought that was a really, really cool way of teasing the Empire is arriving. And he literally listens to da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da and goes, oh no. I just loved it. And then, of course, the Star Destroyer coming across. And we've got now at least 6 more episodes of Empire goodness. I'm excited.
I'm very excited as well.
Now it is time for questions that need answering.
Okay, so we are only partway through the season, so I will give all story leeway. I won't bring up any questions or anything. However, why do we have more Jedi who have somehow survived Order 66? Don't get me wrong, it's nothing against the characters themselves. It's just this plot device because it really undercuts the trauma and danger of Order 66 and of having all of these Jedi be killed and the Jedi are gone and there's no more left. And Obi-Wan had to go into hiding and change his first name, but not his last name because Obi-Wan is very recognizable. Kenobi, who knows? But it's this huge high stakes that we get through all the rest of the films of it's so dangerous to be a Jedi. You can't be a Jedi under Palpatine's rule, or under Sidious's rule, and all the Jedi are gone. We've never even heard of them.
Right, exactly. And there's a whole inquisitorial squad set up to murder Jedi that survived Order 66.
And yet, we continue to have more Jedi who have survived.
My Conspiracy Sam, as a total joke, but Conspiracy Sam thinks that what they're doing is they're going to set up a little short where they go, hey, all Jedi died except for, and then they will have the exact right syllables to do the like animatronics or not animatronics, but that one song where they go through all the different countries, Animaniac song where they go except for da 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 da. It'll just be that a bunch of Jedi names. It's ridiculous. Like we're told all Jedi die except for Yoda and Obi-Wan, and so Obi-Wan's like, there is only one other that can teach you, Luke. You will go to the master that trained me. And Qui-Gon in Force Heaven is like, he will? I can't do Master Yoda. What? where was I? But anyways, that's the
like
only...
Four steps removed.
Yeah, exactly. And so he's like, there's only one other Jedi, living, so I can't send you to Ahsoka. She's no longer a Jedi. And Cal Kestis, who knows if he's alive at this point. And also this guy, and this guy, and this guy, and this guy. No, and also this guy. And it's just a little frustrating. However, I do wonder, in a more serious conversation, I do wonder if there was just a lot more Jedi than we initially thought. Although that feels a little strange because Attack of the Clones is supposed to show a pretty big decimation of the Jedi and their masters specifically, and then sort of this mass knighting of Padawans because they needed a bigger force. And then a huge killing off of Order 66. So are we actually coming to a close of Disney being like, all right, so there's no more Jedi now available to be alive. We're done. We can't do this anymore. We've filled our quota. Or are they just going to be like, but they didn't know about this guy. And also Plo Koon. There's absolutely a banger of a second cousin to Kid Adamundi named Mid Adakundi.
Is he a banger or is he just mid?
I think he's just mid. His brain's a little smaller. The second brain's a little smaller.
Yeah, I'm a little worried that we're going to continue this trope. And
they're like flowers. You just pluck the Jedi out of the ground. Oh, look, another one.
It makes sense if they are brand new. They didn't even make it to really be a Padawan yet. They were still a youngling at the time, and they were out somewhere else when Anakin came in and killed them all.
Yeah. They were on a different planet at a secondary Jedi temple that we even haven't heard about because the old one used to be on Dantooine, so we had one on Pantooine, etc., etc.
Yeah. Unless you can explain to me very specific reasons that actually make sense as to why they were not killed, like Cal Kestis. I accept Cal Kestis' story. Because his master specifically created the circumstances for him to survive and get away during everything that was happening. And then he went and hid, like Obi, and was fine for quite some time until Inquisitors start catching up with him. But then we see the Inquisitors coming and trying to do their job and get rid of the last remaining Jedi. But apart from that, there are very few Jedi who would not have been fighting out in the army leading clones. There are very few who wouldn't have been in the Jedi Temple for Anakin to kill. Yeah. There are very few who should have escaped that. Then for them to also survive over a year past with Inquisitors hunting them all down, because Sidious knows who they all are.
Yeah.
He knew that Savage was out there being Maul's apprentice on a planet far, far away, and he felt the need to go in person on an official transport to go kill him. So if he's going to do that to Savage, he's definitely going to make sure that he knows exactly who all the rest of the Jedi are and who he has not managed to kill yet, etc.
They had access to the Jedi records. He could have very, very easily gone in and gotten all that information. I will say there's two things in the favor of there's a lot of Jedi who escaped. One is they specifically set out a distress call to call all Jedi back, meaning that it was part of the plan and that Anakin had to go into the Jedi Temple and set a call to make everybody come back to the temple. So they knew, okay, we're not going to get everybody. Let's try and catch the stragglers by telling them to come back to the temple. And also, there are going to be some, like you were saying, there are going to be some that aren't attached to clones that weren't near the fighting, etc. It's probably going to be smaller, but there are going to be those who are out there. It's just that, like, my question is, how much of the quota of Jedi that survived have we actually met? Because if you go into, like, the Darth Vader comics of that predate A New Hope, we meet Jedi there. I really just want to know numbers at this point. It's like Hogwarts students. I really want to know what the official Hogwarts student list is so that I can make sense of what their class system looks like and like why there's only 5 Gryffindors, period.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? And I really want to know, okay, how many were in the Jedi Order when Order 66 happened? What percentage of them are actually killed? How many survivors do we go to? Because it starts to feel a little like not every Jedi that survived is going to have an important story. And that's actually handled by Tales of a Jedi. Not Tales of a Jedi. It was the one where they did a bunch of different Japanese animation studios.
Oh.
But one of the episodes is a Padawan that becomes a musician and whose lightsaber doesn't work anymore. And he uses it as a microphone. And he plays for Jabba the Hutt, which is like, oh my God. Okay, so this kid dies in the Rancor pit. Like, what's but That is to say, okay, cool. You covered like what happened to that Padawan, and it wasn't all that important, and he still got a story. Neat. But is every single Jedi that survived going to have this? Because it feels like at some point we should run out of survivors.
We should, and I hope that they know that.
Or else they're going to start feeling like the I before E rule in English, where I before E, except after C, except that's only true 46% of the time. But we say it as if it's the majority. And so it's going to be like, Order 66 killed everyone, except it didn't.
Right.
Except it didn't even kill the majority.
Everyone except for no.
Except for like 52% survived, really.
I mean, this is also coming from the studio that brought you Somehow Palpatine Returned, so.
And Maul survived after being cut in half.
Yeah. I'm less concerned about that one because at least they gave us an explanation.
Well,
in popular canon.
What if in 20 years they make Somehow Palpatine Returned really cool, and then you and I will be eating crow, won't we?
Well, then in 20 years, I will say, hey, they fixed it.
Yeah, me too.
Until then, it's a problem.
It is a problem. Moving forward, mine's a simpler question about the story. Why is it that old Jedi constantly forget how to be Jedi? We talked about this a lot in Clone Wars, where it's like Yoda and Windu and Kid Adamundi are all like not really Jedi anymore. They're just like warriors on light side. Devin has to be the one. The apprentice is like, hey, Maul's on this planet. We should probably do something about this, right? Like, regardless of if it's politically right or not, or if we're seen as the guardians of the light, it's still our responsibility to take this guy out. Like, the Force still is pushing us to that, right? And this old Jedi Master Bob, Master Daki, is like, no, we got to run. The Empire's going to be here soon. Now, he does eventually go, okay, actually, we should do this. But he lets his fear get in the way first. And I'm like, man, the innocence of the child. Give me that every time. You guys are way better than these old farts.
I understand because we're wanting to make Devin a likable character, logical, get her into the path of Maul, really push her into that relationship. However, at this sacrifice of what a Jedi should be is always a hard thing to swallow. So, yeah, I agree with you. I think it's a big question as to why we consistently are seeing this of, oh, yeah, we're Jedi, but we don't do any of the things that Jedi do. We just don't outwardly murder people unless it's on a battlefield.
Right. Because then it's condoned.
Then it's not just murdering people.
Right.
We are killing them en masse, but
right. The Geonosians
heads, letting their
genocide.
son watch.
Yeah, not a big deal at all. Mace was justified, totally.
I mean, it was self-defense.
Well, that's it.
And it's a battle. I mean, it's a battle. He's being shot at from all sides.
He had disarmed Jango Fett.
Oh,
Jango
yeah.
Fett had no weapons.
No. So an interesting thing, though, is everyone in this show is still very attached to their own personal honor code, which is fascinating because you have villains, you have villainous villains, and you have not so villains, and you also have lawmen and good people and lightsiders and all of these things. However, each person is pretty honorable, main character. Obviously, Spybot, not so much, but
Spybot is absolutely sticking to his moral code. His moral code just happens to be actual code, which makes him evil.
Happens to be actual code, which just tells him maniacal all the time.
All the time.
But what I love is we get Devin sticking to her honor code. That it has some room to bend and some wiggle room there, which we see with her thieving. And we see that she is doubting the decision, but she also is hungry. She has basic, needs that need to be fulfilled. So we have this slight bending, but then we also have Lawson, who has his honor code, which is what is best for this planet is not to have the Empire here.
Right.
We want to fix this, and we want to be able to make everything good here without bringing the Empire in, and that is my honor code, personally. Then you also have Two Boots' honor code, which again is a literal code that tells him exactly what laws to follow. And then you get Maul, who has a very profound sense of honor.
Yeah.
And we see this multiple times already through these episodes. It is fascinating to me because I think that his honor code really strikes me as this kind of, it feels very old school. almost like rooted in ancient tradition, this very chivalrous almost vibe to it. And whether or not it's a ploy or completely real remains to be seen. But I think that there's enough context so far of Maul. We can see that it's there. And he might not completely abide with it all the time. And it might be, he might ham it up a little bit to really get somebody on his side of like, oh, but I'm not going to kill you right now. But I think that there is a very deep root of that actual kind of chivalry honor code that is there, which is fascinating, especially coming from a Dathomirian, who are, you know, these very militaristic focused species, at least on the male side. It's very, very interesting, and I really like seeing it.
I think it's fascinating that his character is very much like, people are like, man, that guy was evil, but he opened the door, he polished my car, we sat down for tea, he offered me truffles. Like, I've had the best chocolate in my life at his place. He killed 6 people and tortured 14 more, but man, that guy is polite.
Yes. Exactly. It gives me American Psycho vibes.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Little bit.
Dust off that card deck and get ready to shuffle. It's our Joker category. Who is the MVP of this show so far? I mean, how can it not be Maul?
Listen, it's the right pick. It's the right answer. He's incredible. The voice acting is apparent. You don't have the show without him. Nope. His monologues to Devin, trying to convince her to take control of her life. Be in control of who you are. Don't let other people push you around. He's like the world's weirdest psychiatrist.
Remember who
he is
you
like
are.
The best audiobook of detrimental self-help. However, are we sure that Lawson and Two Boot, 2 characters that we had no idea were going to be in this or that important, are not the MVP, coming in and making us go, oh, cool. Like, there's other sides to this than just Maul.
Here's my why it's not.
Okay.
Specifically about Lawson.
Yeah.
He doesn't really succeed. He doesn't catch Maul. He doesn't fix the issue. The Empire comes in anyway. He has to deactivate his partner in order to try to do what he needs. He doesn't catch his other prisoner. He lets her go.
Super right.
He misses out on his son making an amazing play.
Thing. All right, so he's an
great,
LVP. He's an LVP.
No.
But he's actually the LVP because he loses all the time. And it's clearly not Two Boots because he's the one that calls in the Empire as well. I will give you a pound for pound.
Okay.
If you think about all the things that this little guy accomplishes, it's incredible.
Oh my gosh.
Is it not Spybot?
Despite the maniacal laughter, what is your argument here?
Okay, so he hacks into systems. He does lose to Two Boot one time, but he hacks into systems. He shoots people. He warns Maul that the Empire is coming in. He sets up the recordings. He makes things feel successful, and he's constantly going around and causing a little chaos.
I mean, but that's his job.
And he does it really well.
He does, but if you're going to make a pound for pound for him, you got to make a pound for pound for Rook Cast and all of the other members of the group who are going in, shooting some people, doing the things that they should be doing, helping Maul, getting him out of there.
On his own. But he's on his own as a droid, doing it all by his wee little self. Rook Cast was like 18,000 interchangeable, like, literal sort of Joker minions. Like,
okay, but for real though. But for real, is it not Arkham Asylum in
Darth Maul's
no, no. But for real, when Rook Cast brought out the flamethrower, I was like, ooh, flamethrower.
I will note once again the fact that Maul, like the Joker, has his minions dress up like him is fun insanity to me.
Oh, so I'm sorry. Padme is the Joker now?
Absolutely.
Just yet.
Yes. No. No, the Joker in Batman, like,
No,
comics.
I know exactly what you're talking about. I know what you're talking about. I'm just saying, Padme also has her quote minions dress up like her.
Wait a second. Hold on. That's a security measure to have decoys.
Okay, but was it not a security measure when Maul had his person sub in because he knew that
that's
little man was going to betray him?
That's a diabolical plan. No. The little man was in on it. Yeah, Vario's in on it. Vario is told to do that by Maul. That's why he's still alive. Is he shoots him because Maul is like, this is how I will get close to the Pikes. They will bring you straight to your leader if you think. And now I can go and kill him.
I do love that play, though. How Vario is, sorry, going back, but how Vario is just like, he made me do it.
He made me do it. I'm sorry.
Okay. No choice.
So back to the MVP conversation. It's not Vario. I will say he has an MVP moment where he's like, never shoot a guy in the back. That was good.
Yeah. Speaking of moral code.
There it is. Never shoot a guy in the back. And that's the only thing moral that he does the entire time. Otherwise, he's a total spineless git. But in terms of actual MVPs, there's no, in all actuality, there's no other choice than Maul.
No, there's not.
And I would be fascinated to see in this season if we get anybody else.
Yeah, I would be very interested. We shall see. He's got to have some setbacks at some point.
Does he?
I mean...
Maybe just Fopatine. Occasionally force choking one of his friends from like 8 planets away.
Maybe.
Reading a newspaper on the toilet saying, I'm bored. Let me kill one of Maul's people.
No. When he wants to get rid of Maul's people, he does it in person.
It does. You're right. Lies. And this time he can take a public transit and nobody will care.
Exactly. Well, today's public service announcement. When making a pitch to a goody-goody about turning to the gray side, make sure to think it through before suggesting that they murder their best friend. Thank you, dear listener schmissners, for listening to this episode of Fandom Shmandom. If you'd like to discuss this episode or any other episode we've done, please hit us up on our social media channels. You can find us on TikTok and Instagram at Fandom Shmandom Pod and on Patreon at patreon.com/CW/Fandom Shmandom.
Please don't forget to rate and review us if you liked the episode. It really helps the algorithm place us in front of other like-minded schmishners out there. And also, please comment, on any of our social media stuff out there. We love having conversations with you guys. So come on to TikTok, come on to Instagram, and find us. Give us some comments. We'd love to chat with you guys about Star Wars, Stranger Things, or any of the other big fandoms out there. And with that, we're out, y'all.
Don't forget to tip your maniacal droids.
Lest they bolt you to the ground. And fare thee well.
Fandom Shmandom was created by Sam Williams and Sierra Obermark. The show is produced and edited by Aurelia Lieb. The music is by Jeremiah Aus.
Okay, I have a cat on my desk.
In my head, I was like, does she even have a cat? She must. Or else this would be far more.
Yeah, like those stories where people are like, look what I woke up to. And it's like a cat in the bathroom, and it's like, I don't own a cat.
I don't own a cat. Maybe I meant wait to see if you can
on the pause button. It's like it's keep your finger like hovering above. But yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah. I was smart when I wrote it. Excellent. Okay, here we go.
You're dumb now. Really, I'm so sorry.
That's a very good joke. You're dumb now.
Sorry, my computer is trying to blast off into space. It heard about Artemis 2, and it wants to join.
Did you see that they're trying to make the plushie? I want it so bad. I will be getting it.
No, I did not see that.
They had to put out a PSA. They went on the official NASA account. I was about to call it the NSAS.
Close.
The NASA. NASA. On the official account, they were like, by the way, we don't make merch. We work with other people to have merch made. We will be getting those plushies made as well as Artemis 2 gear. It will take at least 60 days.
60 days is a pretty quick turnaround.
The fact that they had to do a PSA, though, is just amazing. I love how much people love space. GX? Exta?
Janix.
I wasn't that far off.
No, you had the X in there. And,
and a G at one point
and then,
in one of my guesses.
A J, but that's okay. Once again, you're done
now.